and that is voting in the 2020 election and everything we know so far for now. And I say for now because things have been changing. Sometimes within a day, things go back and forth. And I will say, though, maybe in the past week, things have settled down and I have not seen any new changes. But I will share with you everything that I know at this time. So let's talk about the registration deadlines. We're not done yet with voter registration opportunity. We are done with in-person registration at the election office. That deadline was yesterday. It has passed. However, you've got a couple more days of grace period to get registrations in other ways. First of all, the next deadline is tomorrow, Sunday, October 1st. You can still register online at scvotes.gov, or you can fill out a form and then scan it and email it or fax it to the elections office. And I put the email address there, vote.greenwood@elections.sc.gov. So if you get that in by Sunday, then you can be registered. And then one final opportunity, if you are sending in your registration by mail, you can stick it into the post office on October 5th. It must be postmarked by that date in order for your registration to count. After that, no more chances. You are not able to participate in the election. Let's talk about absentee voting. So now we focus on those who are registered to vote. There are a couple of different ways you can do absentee voting. First thing you should know is that everyone is allowed to vote absentee. There are some people who were surprised even to this day to hear that. But the legislation in Columbia did make that rule and say everyone is allowed to vote. They added back the quote state of emergency quote reason on the absentee ballot request form, which you must fill out. You have to fill out a request form first, and then you get your ballot. But on that request form, you can choose state of emergency, and every registered voter in South Carolina is allowed to use it. And of course, we encourage you to do so. We don't know if this will be a permanent thing. They had to fight to restore this. It was this way in the June primaries too, but they had to fight to restore it for this November. Will it be permanent for 2022 and beyond? Who knows, but this is what it is for now. You can also get an absentee ballot request form at the election office yourself. You can do so at any time. Go to 600 Monument Street, that's the Park Plaza, Suite 113, or you can get the absentee ballot request form online, as you see in this picture on the right. I'll do this. Get my absentee ballot application. Click on that at scvotes.gov, and then you can download and fill that out yourself, and then take it or mail it in, or you can take it to the office or mail it in. All right, so let's say that you have filled out your request form and you've got your absentee vote. So there are a couple of ways you can produce and submit your absentee vote. You can do it by mail. You should allow 7 to 10 days to receive your absentee ballot by mail. So you submitted your form, you got to let the post office get it to them, you got to let the elections office send it back to you. My wife went ahead and did absentee ballot, and she got hers in the mail already. They started going out last week, as a matter of fact. So if you've submitted your application a while ago and haven't received your absentee ballot yet, give the elections office a call. They did start going out last week. When you receive it, follow the instructions carefully. It's not hard to do, but if you mark something wrong or you fill in multiple bubbles, you voted for 2 presidents, although I can't imagine why, then your vote will not count. So follow it carefully. Feel free to bring a friend or have somebody look it over for you if you don't mind. Make sure you filled it out. At this time, and this is today, October 3rd, 2020, the witness signature requirement is not needed. And this is just the silliest thing in the world. This is one of those rules that went back and forth within a given day. a judge, a state judge said, yeah, you know what, a witness signature means you have to be in contact with somebody. And if we're in a state of emergency, we shouldn't be requiring you to have somebody in close proximity if you don't want to. And then the Republican legislatures challenged it in court. And then the next level of court above that voted, yep, we're going to allow witness signatures, make that a requirement. And then the word went out. And then that same day, literally Friday evening of that same day, yet another panel reversed the reversal. So it was dizzying, but at this time, a witness signature is not needed. But the experts that I've been talking to at the state party level say, you know what, if you can, do it anyway. It doesn't hurt to have a witness signature on there. And just in case it gets overturned again, who knows? But at this point, it seems like it's pretty stable. And with 31 days to the election, I don't see them making yet another change at this time. So you've got your ballot, you filled it out, you may have gotten a witness signature, you may not have. Mail it back right away. The ballots must be received at the elections office by 7 p.m. on November 3rd. The postmark does not count in this case, and it doesn't matter if the U.S. Postal Service caused a delay. Now, if you mail it 7 to 10 days in advance, it should be fine. You shouldn't have an issue, but don't wait until the week of. Don't wait until that Monday, November 2nd. You just can't guarantee your ballot's going to make it in time. If that ballot arrives at the election office on November 4th, it will be tossed. So if you're going to mail it, do it as soon as you possibly can. But the good news is that for the first time ever, the postage will be prepaid. Your ballot, when it comes in, will have an envelope with the postage already paid, so you do not have to go scrambling for stamps. You don't have to put extra stamps on it. It's already taken care of. I've heard some rumors online and some advice from unsubstantiated sources, to go and put extra first-class stamps on it. I don't know if that's valid. The U.S. Postal Service should be taking these ballots very seriously anyway, and having extra stamps on it is not necessarily going to guarantee faster delivery. But again, that's a judgment call. That's not advice that I've seen issued by any what I would call authority. So we'll leave that up to your judgment. If it was me, I'd be fine just with the prepaid postage that's already on the envelope. But you don't have to necessarily turn it in by mail. You have other options, but one of the nice things that if you don't feel confident that your ballot made it, you can go to myscvotes.gov and click the option right there on the front page called Check My Absentee Ballot. And when they receive it, they record it into the system that it was received, and you can validate it yourself that the elections office got it. I did that during the June primary. I did vote absentee by mail. And about 3-4 days later, I went to myscvotes.gov. I clicked that option. I put in my name and social security number, birth date, all that stuff. And then it said, bingo, they received it. So they are capturing when they've received your ballot, and you can have that peace of mind that they got it. So you have that option to double check. But you also have the option to take your absentee ballot and turn it in person to the elections office. So if you happen to be in the area in Uptown Greenwood on Monument Street, you can go right ahead and take that absentee ballot from your hand and hand it to the elections office official in person. All right. If you require someone else to turn it in for you, you need to fill out an additional form that authorizes that person to do so. So let's say that you're disabled, you're in a retirement center, or you're just not capable of getting out of the house. You can have somebody take the ballot for you and turn it in on your behalf, but a form has to be filled out and signed by you, authorizing that person to do so. And let's take a look at that blurb on the right. First, a candidate and paid campaign worker cannot do this on your behalf unless they're, an immediate family member. So Mrs. Jamie Harrison is certainly allowed to turn in Jamie's ballot. But everybody else, you can't have a candidate turn it in on your behalf or a paid campaign worker. But family, friends, neighbors, they are certainly able to be able to turn it in on your behalf as long as they have that form in their hand when they do so. So make sure you do that. And by the way, to remind you, that link right here where I have additional form underlined, when you have access to this slide deck, you can just click on this link and that will take you to the form to fill out. All right, let's talk about drop boxes for a bit. And if you don't mind, I may have to rant a little. So here's the question. Instead of mailing the ballot, and let's say that you've become nervous, and I don't blame you, about the U.S. Postal Service, and especially as the Trump administration and those members have done their best to dismantle it and ruin the service, can you just place that ballot in the secure drop box that's sitting outside of the elections office? And this is the picture of the drop box that's sitting out there. It's covered by cameras. It's got secure locks. It's always been there, at least as far as I can recall. The answer, unfortunately, is no. Thanks to our Republican legislatures, they nixed that back in mid-September when this was brought up to vote. In fact, the Democratic legislators wanted to expand the drop boxes and put it into more rural areas, just as secure as the one that's outside the elections office, but it also makes it a little more convenient to those who live dozens of miles away from the elections office, and they said no. So I'm going to rant a little bit. The Greenwood County Democratic Party, we made this post back in mid-September when we learned this, and we wanted to point out that our Greenwood legislature, John McCravey, voted against this. So we've circled it right there. The wording was pretty clear. The amendment that was up for vote stated county boards of voter registration and elections may utilize secure drop boxes for the collection of lawfully completed and timely cast absentee ballots. As used in this section, drop box means a secure, locked structure operated by county election officials where qualified electors may deliver their absentee ballots from the time they receive them in the mail up until the time the polls close on election day. And John McCravey and other Republicans voted against that amendment. So then one of our members shared that post on her Facebook page, and she wrote, McCravey opposed to voting drop boxes, smacks of voter suppression, pass it on, vote for Denise Waldrep. Absolutely, we agree, vote for Denise. But then silent John McCravey finally speaks up and shouts, fake news. Oh, doesn't that phrase just make you sick at this point? He says, fake news. The Democrat amendment would have allowed drop boxes to be placed out in the county anywhere unattended. My vote protected voter security. And why he would hop onto her Facebook page. It's not like they were friends. It's not like they knew each other personally. He just felt, I suppose, emboldened to pick on an older member of our party who was sharing this information. So yours truly had to respond. And this is what I wrote. The silliness of these arguments astound me. You are already able to put your vote in the mail by placing your envelope in your own mailbox to be picked up by a mail carrier, or into this little blue doohickey here. And boy, does that not look like a drop box? It's our standard U.S. Postal Service blue box. As worded above, additional drop boxes would be even more secure than these two already existing options. Screaming fake news is just lazy pandering. And I stand by that statement 100%, and it got no response because, again, how could you argue against that? I also checked with Connie Moody, our Director of Elections and Voting, And she wrote to me, the only way we can use the box, and this is the one that's outside of the office, is if I station a staff member there during business hours to inspect every return envelope. I really don't have ample staff to do so since I'm trying to staff 2 absentee precincts for the time being. We'll need to cover the box. So ladies and gentlemen, right there, not fake news because of the Republicans' vote, drop box will not be allowed. And if you feel like that's as ridiculous as I believe it is, feel free to comment on our Facebook stream, but that just made me furious. Okay, that's my rant. Let's go back to some facts. Let's talk about in-person absentee voting. In-person absentee voting starts on Monday, October 5th at the elections office. Again, that's on 600 Monument Street, Suite 113. That's in Park Plaza. So starting on Monday, you can show up. You can even request an absentee ballot form, fill it out right there, and then proceed to cast your vote. All in one shot. Masks are required. Please take all safety precautions yourself. Make sure you bring proper ID, like a driver's license or other formal ID. Your voter registration card is not required. People still ask that. Yes, you get a voter registration card when you register, but you don't need to have that with you when you go. However, bring all the other IDs that you possibly can think of. They will check just like it would be done on election day itself. Their office is going to be open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Now, interestingly, in the last week or so, and this is a great piece of news, the Elections Commission for Greenwood has opened up a second location where absentee ballots can be cast. It will be fully staffed. They'll have the machines there and the forms there, starting on Tuesday, October 13th. All right. And it's located, as you can see in the map there, on 314 Main Street, and that's in the same shopping plaza as Howard's on Main, Southern Soul on Main, H.H. Turner Jewelers, Buena Vista Cuban Cafe. I'm sure you know where this is located. 314 is going to be a second location starting on October 13th. It will be open only on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. But in the final week of the month, from October 26th to October 30th, it will be open every day from 9 to 4:30. So you have 2 places starting October 13th where you can go and do your in-person absentee ballot. And in my mind, that's my recommended approach. If you can do that, do so. It spreads out the number of people, and when they vote over time, you're not likely to run into crowds. They'll be fully staffed, get you in, get you out, and your vote will be captured and counted.